It's one of the busiest seagull colonies in the Arctic. Restless as the northern sun, the birds scout the island in search of food for their young. Noisy and disorderly like all big families, the seagulls are the last reminder of the warm family atmosphere that once permeated this Arctic island.
Back in the 80s, sounds coming from this building were just as ear-splitting as they are today. Only instead of seagull cries, there were children's shrieks and laughter. This apartment block was built specifically to house families. And while adults were out working, kids were left to their own devices, running down hallways and banging doors. Local residents usually refer to this building as the crazy house.
Across the street was a female dormitory, nicknamed Paris, given Russian women's undying infatuation with everything French. A bit further away was a male dormitory, also known as London, supposedly for the gentle manners of its inhabitants. During its best years, this settlement housed more than 1,000 people. Today, it's a ghost town, where the spirit of communism is lurking in the abandoned buildings.
This settlement was called Pyramid because of the cube-like mountains surrounding it. 30 years ago, it had the highest living standards Soviet people could dream of. Salaries 2 to 3 times higher than in the mainland, free food, free rent, vibrant social life. In many ways, it was a test model for the brighter future that Soviet people were trying to build.
The world's northernmost statue of Lenin is still peering into the nearby glacier. Most of the pyramid's residents worked at a coal mine that was never very profitable, yet maintained for the sake of keeping the Soviet presence at this strategically placed archipelago. Not only an outpost, this westernmost Soviet settlement was also an ideological show window for the capitalist rivals, and no resources were spared to cut a dash.
A concert hall, a library, a rock band, and even this half-size Olympic pool. People here were living the true Soviet dream. Yet their best hopes tanked almost overnight when the Soviet Union fell apart. All of a sudden, people of Pyramid realized that their perfect life was just that, a geopolitical pyramid based on faulty economy and shaky ideology.
In a few years, the former Arctic paradise turned into a desperate hole. People who were used to eating caviar for breakfast had to turn to hunting to put food on the table. One after another, the families packed and left, abandoning Pyramid in all its grandstanding glory.
This pillar was erected here with much pomp on the settlement's 30th or 40th anniversary, only to become its gravestone decades later. When the last batch of coal was extracted from the local mine, workers just left it here. It was their way of raking over the coals for the life that always seemed too good to be true.